Ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk to the women who have spent too much of their lives apologizing for who they are, justifying every choice they've made, and defending their every step to people who were never meant to understand them. You've explained yourself to friends who were never really your friends. You've explained yourself to family who couldn't see your vision. You've explained yourself to men who didn't deserve your loyalty, your devotion, or your sacrifice. And yet, after all your explaining, after all your reasoning, after all your pouring out, they still didn't understand you. Why? Because they were never assigned to understand you. Let me tell you something. Real strength doesn't announce itself. Real power doesn't need a microphone. A real woman does not move through life begging for permission slips to live out her destiny. She moves in silence because she knows that the noise of critics cannot stop the plan of God. You've been wasting energy trying to justify why you dream big, why you work late, why you say no, why you cut off relationships, why you decided to protect your peace. Hear me. Stop explaining yourself. You don't owe anybody a speech about your calling. You don't owe anybody a paragraph about your healing. You don't owe anybody a sentence about your boundaries. A real woman lets her results speak louder than her reasons. A real woman doesn't argue with doubters. She outgrows them. A real woman doesn't broadcast every step. She just keeps stepping until she shows up on the mountain she was climbing in private. Do you know why silence is so powerful? Because silence starves your critics. Silence frustrates your enemies. Silence confuses those who thought you couldn't make it without their approval. Sometimes the best clapback is not with your mouth, but with your movement. Hear me clearly. Your destiny does not need their confirmation, your healing does not need their applause, and your future does not need their validation. You are called to move, not to explain. You are called to rise, not to justify. You are called to become, not to defend. Release the need to explain. Stop broadcasting every step. Stop handing out blueprints of your vision to people who wouldn't build with you even if they could. Stop wasting energy trying to be understood by people who are committed to misunderstanding you. Because when a real woman moves in silence, her actions echo louder than her explanations, her presence speaks louder than her words, and her victory makes all the noise she will ever need. There comes a point in life when you realize that constantly defending yourself, constantly justifying your choices, constantly explaining your every move is nothing more than a drain on your soul. Too many of us spend our time handing out explanations to people who were never meant to understand us in the first place. We exhaust our energy trying to be understood by people who have already decided not to understand. We stretch ourselves thin, giving reasons for decisions that we made in wisdom, in faith, and in courage to people who were never going to support us, no matter how detailed our explanation may be. You don't owe an explanation for why you cut ties with toxic relationships. You don't owe an explanation for why you left that job that was suffocating your purpose. You don't owe an explanation for why you moved to a new city, why you're building a business, why you're walking a path that others cannot see. Your life is not a courtroom and you are not on trial. You don't have to keep calling witnesses to prove your innocence or to validate your decisions. You are free to move forward without giving a defense to anyone. The truth is, explanations are often wasted breath because the people who truly love you, the people who are genuinely for you, don't need them. They trust your journey. They may not always understand it, but they respect it. On the other hand, the people who are against you, who criticize and doubt you, will never be satisfied with your explanations. You can give them the whole playbook, you can write them a thesis, you can pour out your heart, and still, they will twist your words, question your motives, and doubt your vision. That's why you must stop living your life in a posture of constant defense. A real woman, a real person walking in purpose, learns to move with a quiet confidence. She learns that silence speaks louder than explanations. She learns that results silence critics in ways that words never can. She learns that every minute spent justifying her decisions is a minute stolen from executing her vision. So instead of explaining, she moves. Instead of defending, she builds. Instead of wasting energy on validation, she invests energy in transformation. Think about it. Every time you stop to explain yourself, you are slowing down your progress. You're taking a detour to address people who are not even traveling with you. If you are running a race, you don't turn around to argue with the people on the sidelines. You keep running because your victory is not determined by their opinions. Some of you need to stop explaining because your explanations are becoming chains. They are tying you down to people who are not assigned to your future. Let me tell you something. Your destiny does not require public approval. Your healing does not need an audience. Your dreams do not need a roundtable discussion. What God placed in your heart was meant for you and you alone. Other people may benefit from it. They may witness it. They may even celebrate it, but it was not given to them for them to approve. It was given to you to carry, to protect, and to fulfill. There's a powerful shift that happens when you embrace this truth. You stop living for likes. You stop trying to win every argument. You stop waiting for the world to agree with you before you move forward. You start walking with boldness, even if you have to walk alone. You start trusting your inner voice, the quiet whisper inside that tells you, keep going, you're on the right path. And even if nobody claps, even if nobody cheers, you keep moving forward because you know that your life was not built to impress people. It was designed to fulfill purpose. When you stop explaining, you also reclaim your peace because constant explanations are exhausting. They drain you emotionally. They frustrate you when people still don't understand. They keep you living in the past, rehashing decisions instead of pressing forward. When you choose silence, when you decide, I don't have to explain this to anyone, you take back your energy, you free your mind. You release yourself from the endless cycle of proving, explaining, and justifying. You finally have space to breathe, to grow, to focus on what truly matters. And I want to be clear, this does not mean you walk around with arrogance. This is not about pride. This is about confidence. This is about knowing that your worth is not determined by how many people understand you. This is about realizing that explanations do not define your identity. Whether they get it or not, whether they approve or not, you are still chosen. You are still anointed. You are still destined for greatness. You don't have to explain why you want peace over drama. You don't have to explain why you set boundaries that protect your spirit. You don't have to explain why you refuse to settle for less than you deserve. You don't have to explain why you choose growth over comfort, why you choose healing over bitterness, why you choose freedom over bondage. These are your decisions. This is your life. And the truth is, people who really belong in your life won't demand explanations. They will simply walk with you, support you, and trust that you know what you're doing. Stop giving your energy to people who sit in judgment. Stop explaining your calling to people who don't have the capacity to understand it. Stop wasting words on people who are only looking for holes in your story. Your silence will say more than your speech ever could. Your progress will answer questions your words never could. Your victory will silence voices your explanations never could. From this day forward, I challenge you to walk in freedom. The freedom of knowing you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. Live your life. Pursue your purpose. Guard your peace. Chase your dreams. Walk in your calling. And let your actions, your character, and your results do all the talking. Because at the end of the day, explanations are temporary, but results are permanent. Arguments fade, but legacy endures. Defenses wear out, but destiny remains. You don't owe anyone an explanation. What you owe yourself is the courage to live fully, boldly, and unapologetically. There is a kind of power that doesn't shout. There is a kind of strength that doesn't have to be loud, doesn't have to prove itself, doesn't have to draw attention to be real. That power is silence. Silence is not weakness. Silence is not absence. Silence is not a lack of words. Silence is the language of strength. Silence is the mark of someone who knows who they are and does not need to broadcast it to the world. Too many of us confuse noise with power. We think the louder someone talks, the more authority they must carry. We think the one who argues the longest must have won. We think the one who shouts their plans is the one who's moving forward. But let me tell you this, true power does not need to be noisy. True power doesn't waste time explaining, defending, or convincing. True power is silent because it knows that silence unsettles critics, frustrates enemies, and builds strength within. When you understand the power of silence, you stop trying to answer every critic. You stop running to explain yourself every time someone misunderstands you. You stop giving energy to arguments that do not deserve your voice, because you realize that silence itself is a weapon. Silence itself is a strategy. Silence itself is an act of discipline. It takes more strength to remain silent than it does to lash out. It takes more courage to keep moving forward without announcing every step than it does to broadcast every detail of your journey. Storms make noise. It's the deep ocean that is steady and powerful. Fireworks make a loud sound, but they vanish in seconds, leaving only smoke. A seed, however, grows in silence, pushes through the dirt in silence, transforms into a tree in silence, and yet its impact outlasts the noise of explosions. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence is the process of power. There are moments in life when silence becomes your greatest defense. Every accusation deserves a response. Not every insult needs a rebuttal. Not every doubt requires an explanation. Sometimes the most powerful response is no response. Sometimes the best answer to criticism is progress. Sometimes the loudest statement you can make is the quiet decision to keep moving forward while others are still talking. Your silence starves your enemies. They want you to argue. They want you to lose focus. They want you to get entangled in battles that are beneath you. But when you stay silent, you deny them the satisfaction. You keep your focus. You protect your peace. You frustrate their expectations because they cannot predict your next move. Silence becomes your shield, and while they are busy talking, you are busy building. While they are trying to tear you down with words, you are rising with actions. While they are loud in gossip, you are silent in growth. There is also wisdom in silence. When you stay quiet, you hear more. You see more, you discern more, you pick up on things that you would have missed if you were always talking, always defending, always reacting. Silence gives you perspective. Silence gives you clarity. Silence gives you the space to think before you act, to strategize before you move, to prepare before you step out. People who cannot embrace silence often act recklessly, speak carelessly, and waste energy unnecessarily. Those who know the power of silence move with precision, intention, and authority. Silence also builds character. It teaches you patience. It teaches you discipline. It teaches you that not everything needs to be shared. Not every plan needs to be announced. Not every feeling needs to be expressed. A world that is constantly shouting, constantly posting, constantly broadcasting every detail, the person who can remain silent is the one who truly carries strength. Because silence says, I don't need your approval. I don't need your applause. I don't need to announce what I'm doing. You'll see it when it manifests. And make no mistake, silence is not the same as doing nothing. Silence does not mean inactivity. Silence does not mean weakness. Silence means you are working behind the scenes. Silence means you are preparing in private. Silence means you are focused on progress, not performance. Silence means you are letting your results do the talking. Because when the time comes, your silence will erupt into evidence. Your silence will turn into success. Your silence will transform into victory that makes all the noise you will ever need. Think about an architect who draws the blueprint in silence, who lays the foundation in silence, who builds in silence. No one sees the process. When the building is finished, the evidence speaks for itself. That is the power of silence. It protects the process until the product is undeniable. Some of you have been wasting energy on the wrong battles. You've been shouting at people who will never understand you. You've been defending yourself against lies that don't deserve your truth. You've been explaining your calling to people who were never assigned to walk with you. And every time you speak, you are leaking energy. Every time you defend, you are delaying progress. Every time you explain, you are exposing too much of your process. It's time to embrace silence. Let your growth be your response. Your peace be your defense. Let your results be your explanation. There is also healing in silence. Sometimes you need to step back from the noise of life, the opinions, the voices, the chatter, the comparisons, and just sit in silence. It is in silence that you hear your own heart. It is in silence that you reconnect with God, with your spirit, with your vision. It is in silence that you find restoration, clarity, and strength. Too many of us are drowning in noise, mistaking volume for value. But silence reminds us that we already carry what we need, that we don't have to chase validation in sound when power is already in stillness. Stop wasting your voice on people who will never hear you. Stop shouting for approval that will never come. Stop explaining to those who don't matter. Instead, choose silence. Let your results speak. Let your destiny unfold. Let your life testify. Because at the end of the day, the loudest sound you will ever make will not come from your words. It will come from your success, your growth, your resilience, and your destiny fulfilled. There comes a time in life when you have to realize that not everything requires a response. Not every season requires an explanation. Not every move needs to be announced. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can ever make is not with your mouth, but with your results. Because at the end of the day, words can be doubted, but results cannot be denied. We live in a world that is loud with talk. Everyone has something to say. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has advice for your life, your dreams, your decisions, even your struggles. People will doubt you, question you, criticize you, expect you to defend yourself at every turn. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your life trying to argue with people who never mattered, trying to convince people who don't care, and trying to explain yourself to people who were never going to understand you in the first place. Here is the truth. You don't have to win arguments when your results will do the talking for you. Think about it. Words are cheap, but results are expensive. Words can be empty, but results are full. Words can be twisted, but results are undeniable. That's why it's far better to work in silence, to labor in the shadows, to grind when no one is looking, to let your results walk into the room before you do. Because when results speak, they silence critics. When results speak, they humble doubters. When results speak, they erase excuses. The most powerful people are not the ones who talk the most, but the ones who produce the most. You don't have to spend your energy proving yourself to people. Prove it by building it. Prove it by succeeding at it. Prove it by rising when they thought you would fall. Prove it by flourishing in the very places they thought you would fail. Words can be dismissed. Fruit cannot. They may ignore your voice, but they cannot ignore your victory. Results speak a language that everyone understands. You don't have to translate results. You don't have to argue for results. You don't have to beg people to believe in results. They are universal. They are undeniable. They are visible. They stand as proof that your work was not in vain, that your sacrifice was not wasted, that your prayers were not unanswered. Sometimes the best clapback is not to argue, but to succeed. Not to fight back, but to rise higher. Not to defend yourself, to show up with evidence. Imagine the strength it takes to stay silent while you are underestimated, ignored, overlooked, or dismissed. And yet, imagine the power of showing up later with undeniable results that make the very people who doubted you sit in silence. That moment speaks louder than 1,000 explanations. That's why you cannot waste energy on noise. Noise does not build. Noise does not grow. Noise does not create. It only distracts. If you are serious about your purpose, you cannot be distracted by what people are saying. You must be consumed with building, with growing, with becoming. While they talk, you work. While they doubt, you move. While they gossip, you grind. And when the time comes, your results will enter the room and announce what you never had to say. Your life is not measured by how loud you speak, by how much fruit you bear. A tree doesn't argue about being a tree. It produces fruit. The fruit itself is the evidence. A builder doesn't argue about his vision. He builds the house, and the house is the proof. A dreamer doesn't beg people to believe her dreams. She makes them a reality, and the reality speaks for itself. Results are not about impressing people. They are about fulfilling purpose. Your results are not for show. They are for a legacy. They are for the generations who will come after you. People who will be inspired by your journey, for the lives that will be touched by your obedience. You are not working just to silence critics. You are working because your calling demands it. And when your calling manifests in results, The very people who doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge what was once invisible. There is also freedom in letting your results speak, because when you focus on results instead of explanations, you take back your peace. You stop arguing with people who never believed in you. You stop defending yourself to people who never deserved your story. You stop wasting energy on convincing people who will never be convinced. And instead, you pour that energy into building, into creating, into manifesting. Results require consistency. Results require discipline. Results require silence. Results require faith. Results require sacrifice. Talking is easy, but building is hard. Talking is quick, but growth takes time. Talking is noisy, results are steady. That's why so many people talk, but so few people produce. Don't be among the crowd that talks loudly, but produces nothing. Be among the few who speak softly, but produce abundantly. Some of you have been in a season where you feel overlooked, ignored, underestimated. People may think you're not doing anything because they don't see you posting it, announcing it, or broadcasting it. Let me tell you, the quiet work you're doing now will shout louder than any words ever could. The results that will come out of this season will silence every critic, every doubt, and every fear. Keep building, keep pushing, keep working, because your results will speak on your behalf. When your results finally show, you won't even have to say, "I told you so." The results themselves will say it for you. Your progress will testify. Your success will witness. Your breakthrough will be the declaration. Those who doubted you will have no choice but to acknowledge the undeniable evidence of your results. Because at the end of the day, words will fade, results will remain, arguments will be forgotten, but evidence will endure. Opinions will shift, but proof will stand. So let your results speak louder than your words, because when results speak, the world has no choice but to listen. Every vision is sacred. Every dream is holy ground. Every calling placed inside of you carries weight, purpose, and destiny. And yet, too many of us have been careless with what God entrusted us with. We've been pouring out our vision to people who were never meant to carry it. We've been sharing our dreams with those who only know how to trample on them. We've been giving our blueprint to people who have no intention of building with us. And as a result, we have found ourselves discouraged, doubting, and delayed, not because our vision wasn't real, but because we placed it in the wrong hands. There are people who will never understand the weight of what you carry. There are people who will never see what you see because your vision was not assigned to them. When you share sacred things with the wrong people, you set yourself up for frustration. You can hand them the entire plan, explain every detail, pour out your heart, and they will still not get it. Not because the vision is flawed, because their capacity is limited. Not everyone can handle what God placed inside of you. Not everyone can be trusted with your dream. Not everyone is qualified to hear your plan. Some people will listen to your vision only to laugh at it. Some will hear your dream only to discourage you. Some will take your blueprint only to copy it, dilute it, or sabotage it. And if you are not careful, you will spend your life handing over diamonds to people who only see stones, pearls to people who treat them like pebbles, treasure to people who think it's trash. You must learn to discern who is worthy of your vision. Every person in your life is not a confidant. Some are just companions for a season, and some are even distractions. Too often, we give access to people who have no business being in the inner circle of our destiny. We keep telling people our next move, our next idea, our next step, only to watch them use it against us, minimize it, or drain the excitement out of it. A real vision does not need constant broadcasting. It needs protecting. It needs guarding. It needs nurturing. Just as a seed cannot survive in every kind of soil, your vision cannot survive in every kind of environment. Some people's hearts are too shallow to carry it. Some people's minds are too small to comprehend it. Some people's spirits are too toxic to support it. You must stop scattering your vision carelessly and start planting it carefully. Think about Joseph. He shared his dream with his brothers, and they hated him for it. He shared his vision with the wrong people, and it led him into a pit, not because the dream was wrong, but because the audience was wrong. Learn from that. Sometimes silence is your greatest protection. Sometimes keeping your vision private is the only way to let it grow. You don't owe everybody an explanation of where you're headed. You don't need to prove to everyone what you're building. Some things must remain between you and God until they manifest. When you stop giving your vision to the wrong people, you preserve your peace. Because let's be honest, every time you've shared your dream with the wrong crowd, you ended up feeling drained, doubted, or discouraged. Their negative words pierced your spirit. Their lack of enthusiasm made you second-guess yourself. Their skepticism made you question if you really heard God correctly. And before long, you found yourself shrinking, delaying, or abandoning what you were once so excited about. That's the danger of misplaced vision. It's not that the vision loses power, it's that you lose confidence. But when you guard your vision, when you choose carefully who you share it with, when you protect it like the treasure it is, you find strength. You keep your fire burning. You keep your faith alive. You surround yourself with people who don't just hear your dream, but who water it, who encourage it, who pray over it, who stand with you in it. Those are the people who deserve access to your vision. Not everyone, just the trusted few. And sometimes you must walk with a vision in silence, not because you're ashamed, but because you're wise. Not because you doubt it, but because you're protecting it. Not because you're hiding, because you're nurturing. Some things must grow in secret before they can shine in public. Some visions are too fragile to be exposed too soon. Just like a newborn baby must be protected until it gains strength, your vision must be shielded until it can stand on its own. Stop announcing what you're building before it's ready. Stop telling people your every move when you haven't even taken the first step. Stop leaking your plans to people who secretly hope you fail. Not everyone deserves to know. Not everyone deserves to see. Not everyone deserves to hear. Guard your vision with wisdom because it is too precious to be trampled on by careless feet. And don't confuse this with isolation. This isn't about pushing away everyone. This is about discernment. There are people assigned to help you build. There are people assigned to walk with you. There are people whose faith will strengthen yours, whose words will confirm yours, whose spirit will align with yours. You must learn to recognize the difference between those who are for your vision and those who are against it. If you've been guilty of giving your vision to the wrong people, don't condemn yourself. Learn from it. Pick your vision back up. Dust it off. Protect it this time. Some delays weren't because you lacked ability, but because you misplaced your trust. Now you know better. Now you will move wiser. Now you will guard what God gave you like the treasure it is. From this day forward, let your vision be handled carefully. Stop exposing it to doubters. Stop throwing it in environments that cannot nurture it. Stop explaining it to people who are committed to misunderstanding it. Instead, protect it. Feed it. Build it. And when the time is right, let your results speak. Because the truth is this, your vision was not given to everybody. It was given to you. It is your responsibility to carry it. It is your assignment to protect it. It is your calling to fulfill it. And when you stop giving your vision to the wrong people, you give yourself permission to finally walk in the fullness of it. There is a difference between a woman who waits for the world to validate her and a woman who knows who she is, where she's going, and why she was created. Difference is purpose. Purpose is the force that makes a woman unstoppable. Purpose is the compass that directs her steps. Purpose is the fire that burns within her no matter what people think, say, or feel about her. A real woman doesn't move because someone gave her permission. She moves because she carries purpose. Too many women have been conditioned to wait for someone to approve of their dream, to wait for someone to agree with their vision, to wait for someone to tell them they're allowed to pursue what's inside of them. They've been waiting for parents to affirm them, for friends to encourage them, for partners to support them, for society to validate them. And while they wait, life keeps moving, destiny keeps calling, and opportunities keep passing. You don't need permission to be who you were created to be. You don't need a stamp of approval from people who don't even understand your assignment. You don't need validation from those who couldn't walk a mile in your shoes. The only thing you need is the courage to walk in your purpose. Real woman understands that purpose itself is authority. Purpose itself is validation. Purpose itself is the permission slip. When you know why you were created, when you know what burns in your heart, when you know the calling on your life, you don't wait for the world to agree. You move. You act, you step. You build. You rise, because purpose doesn't ask for permission. Purpose demands obedience. Think about history. The women who made a difference didn't wait for the world to clap before they moved. They didn't wait for society to open the door. They kicked the door open with their purpose. They were told, you can't, but they did anyway. They were told it's not your place, but they walked boldly into it. They were told, you're not qualified. But their results proved otherwise. Why? Because they refused to be limited by permission. They chose to be driven by purpose. Purpose does not apologize for existing. Purpose does not shrink to make others comfortable. Purpose does not pause while waiting for consensus. Purpose pushes you forward. Even when the crowd is against you, purpose strengthens you. Even when your support system is silent. Purpose reminds you, I was created for this, even when others don't believe in you. A real woman moves with purpose because she understands that her time is valuable. She doesn't waste years waiting for people to clap for her before she takes a step. She doesn't waste energy begging for approval. She doesn't shrink her vision so it will fit into other people's small perspectives. Instead, she rises, she builds, she creates, she grows. Whether anyone approves or not, the people who won't give you permission now will be the same ones who want to be associated with you later. The same people who doubted you will want to benefit from your results. Same people who told you to sit down will be amazed when they see you standing tall in purpose. That's why you can't afford to wait for them. Move now, start now, build now. Because your life is too precious to waste waiting on validation from those who may never give it. Moving with purpose also requires courage. It means you may have to walk alone at times. It means you may have to face misunderstanding. It means people will question your motives, doubt your abilities, or criticize your choices. But courage says, even if they don't understand, keep moving. Even if they don't support me, I will keep going. Even if they reject me, I will not reject myself. Purpose is not for the faint of heart. It is for the bold, the committed, the unwavering. A real woman moves with purpose because she knows her worth is not attached to other people's opinions. She doesn't need permission to say no when something threatens her peace. She doesn't need permission to say yes to opportunities that align with her calling. She doesn't need permission to set boundaries, to walk away, to protect her heart, to choose herself. She doesn't need permission to dream big, to build strong, to rise high. Her worth was established long before anyone had an opinion about her. Here is something powerful. When a real woman moves with purpose, she inspires others to do the same. Her courage becomes contagious. Her strength becomes a light. Her example gives permission to others who are watching in silence, waiting for someone to show them it can be done. That's the irony. When you stop waiting for permission and move in purpose, your life becomes the very permission slip for others to step into theirs. You must be willing to disappoint people in order to obey your purpose. Some will not understand. Some will feel left out. Some will call you selfish, arrogant, or too ambitious. But hear this clearly, you are not responsible for making others comfortable with your calling. You are responsible for walking in it. You are not here to shrink so others feel tall. You are here to rise so others know it's possible. Moving with purpose also means moving with clarity. You don't wander aimlessly, hoping life will hand you direction. You set your intention. You focus your energy. You align your decisions with your vision. Purpose keeps you from being distracted by everything and everyone. Purpose says, not every opportunity is for me. Not every path is mine. Every voice deserves my ear. Purpose gives you direction, and that direction gives you power. A real woman who moves with purpose becomes unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because she refuses to quit. Not because she never faces obstacles, but because she refuses to let obstacles define her. Not because everyone supports her, but because she refuses to let the lack of support derail her. She knows she was created with intention, and she will live with intention. Stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for them to agree. Stop waiting for them to validate you. Move, build, rise, become. Step into the fullness of your purpose with boldness, because if you wait for permission, you may wait forever. But when you walk in purpose, doors open, paths clear, opportunities align, and destiny unfolds.